Some people say, well, I've done spiritual work on and off for 30 years and I'm still where I was. Well, they meditate a little there, they pray a little there, they go to a workshop there, they hear a speaker there, they read that. It's all sort of sporadic. Huh? That's all right when you have time. Let's say you're quite a bit in the world and you're accumulating data that you know you're going to use at a later date. Certain understandings, certain comprehensions come about. But then there comes a time when it means to do whatever practice you're doing without exception all the time. A very high state can arise in temporal time, rather brief, if one is committedly persistent. The devotion to the truth becomes overwhelming. The love for God pulls you. It isn't that you're driving it. It's now you're being pulled by your own destiny. By one's own karmic commitment, let's say. You've chosen the ultimate destiny. Now that begins to pull you and attract you. It isn't that you're being driven by it, it's that you're being pulled by it, because that's your destiny. My guess would be that's the destiny of everyone here, otherwise they wouldn't be here. Then comes a time for becoming really very serious about it. At that point, let's say you use the technique that I used the most, was surrendering and letting go everything as the very moment it arises, so that what arises in consciousness is like a wave. It's like 1/100th of a second it's coming, it peaks and then it leaves. So the letting go-ness is at the peak of it, so that one is constantly like floating over the waves. In other words, all these thoughts begin to arise and you intuit their intention of you, and you already released that intention, surrender everything to God. So this becomes continuous, non-stop. I remember trying to let go of a severe attachment, and for 11 days I sat and did nothing but let this go. Every thought, every feeling, every memory, everything, as it arose, was surrendered. You see, because the energy behind some thoughts is accumulated through many lifetimes. The grief that you feel when you lose a member of your family now is not just due to losing them, this person here and now. It's from all the deaths of all the lifetimes accumulated as an accumulation of energy. So when you begin surrendering that, you may pull up a major one that's accumulated through many lifetimes. This particular one, as I say, was non-stop for 11 days, morning and night, just went on and on and on and on. And finally it stopped, gone forever. Never again will you be subject to that. Okay. Then arises the next one. So, serious spiritual work is a continuous willingness to let things go as they arise in the technique that I share. The letting go, the willingness to surrender, wanting to control everything as it arises. The willingness to surrender, wanting to change it, have it your way. The refusal to surrender it to God. Very often one has illusions about the nature of reality. They have to be let go also. That there's a good and a bad, there's a desirable and undesirable, that's all in your mind. So, you realize that the sun shines and then the clouds come up and then the rain falls and the grass grows up and dies. The stock market goes up and down. Age comes and goes. People arise and leave. So you see there's the ebb and flow. And if one is at this part of the cycle, there's no point, crying about it, because the cycle will cycle itself out, you see. And by surrendering oneself to whatever is cycling up, is how one disappears it eventually. You disappear it by choosing to be with it and letting go, wanting to change it as it arises.